Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing a video on, well, the second video of the day is going to be on what exactly is spirituality when I say that. So when I say spirituality, what is that? What does that mean in the actual sense of the word, of how people like myself, spiritual people like myself, perceive it and live it and embody it? So there's going to be a few pointers. I do want to shout out to Christina Lopes, who was actually one of the first people that the divine guided me to. One of the synchronicities actually was one of her videos. So go check her out. A lot of this content is going to be based off of the messages that she provided, with a little bit more of like my take on how I would describe that. Okay. All right. So let's begin. I'm going to tag her video below. All right. So in terms of spirituality versus religion. Okay. It's not a matter of spirituality versus religion, because you can be religious and still be awakened by the divine to spirituality and into your inner divine light. Also, another thing too is that I really want to stress the fact that there is a huge distinction in terms of what they are, but in terms of whether they can coincide. It's 2020, so times are evolving, people are evolving, everything is changing around us. The energies are shifting dramatically because it's calling for a new, what's the word I could use? It's calling for a new way of life, because looking back, there's a lot, for me in my experience, looking back, there's a lot of things that I kept up and kept doing because that was what I was conditioned with. That's what what I grew up with, and it never seemed to change, because nothing else, everything around me was that. So that's what I perceived as normal, because that was what was conditioned as normal for me and for everybody else. But yeah, it's definitely something that's very inward focused. It's something it's not necessarily something that can be described. It can only be felt. You can only truly understand it if you feel it. It's something that you have to open yourself up to, because it's not, God only gives you what you're ready for. And with awakening comes a lot of difficult changes and transitions that are tests to see if you're really going to put in the work for your happiness. It's, the divine really wants you to take a look at your life and analyze. They want us to analyze some of our behaviors and truly think and look deep within ourselves to really analyze the good and the bad, and come to terms and love both of them equally. Because only then will you find inner peace. Only then will you find inner peace. And owning up to yourself is essential, difficult, and extremely rewarding. Because, as I said in previous videos, we really do get what we give. And, as someone who is in this spiritual awakening, I'm going on a bit of a rant, but it's all good. Based off of my experience, I've learned so much about it's almost like I look at the world around me and I see the world differently now. I see things through the eyes of love. So it's not to say as though hardships and difficult situations don't faze me. It's just because I don't hold on to that fear of things not working out, because in the end they do. So it's all about not putting unnecessary stress on yourself, because we did not come here to have a life that is meant to be slaved away. It's the reality of how the world is now. Yeah, it's how things are in the world, and you have to go by the world. Yeah, but do you want to live in that cycle, or do you want to be set free from it? Because once you have that grip on your inner soul and your inner truth, then nothing stops you. Nothing phases you. The universe gives you whatever it is that you want. And it's like, why not put in that work for yourself, Why not make the difficult choices for yourself in order to get that goal, Because that phrase, nothing worth having ever comes easy, is so true. Like, it's never rained truer in my life until this moment. So, going back on track. Okay, so that was a little bit on spirituality versus religion. Now, traits of an individual who is a spiritual being. 1. Now, this is all based off of Christina Lopes. It's very, very great. Very, very great. You should go watch the video. Super, super enlightening. Okay. 1. Has a beginner's mind. So this individual is very childlike, very innocent, very whimsical and wonder and just like dreamy and kind of like floats around and like, oh my God, this person with a beginner's mind, as she said, Christina Lopes, you're able to see life and love. You're able to see, the way I would say this is, you're able to see the good. You're able to see the good in people right away. As soon as you meet them, you see it, because you're so in tune with it as an empath that you notice it right off the bat, because that's just who you are as a person, which was prior to awakening my biggest issue, because of the fact that everybody before this would always tell me, your heart is your biggest weakness and your biggest strength. And I said, yeah, because I would give my heart away, and me being the person that I am, giving so freely, because for a long time, it took me a long time to realize that not everybody is an empath. Not everybody has a heart that can love at that capacity, and that's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's fine. Like, it's okay. But it's just a matter of me understanding that and being able to go into relationships with the right expectations of that person. Yeah. Next, a little bit extra adding on to beginner's mind that Christina said is, this is one big one that I stress a lot. You don't hold on to ego or your shadow, because nothing in life is certain. So why hold on to things if you know that it can change? It's like setting yourself up for failure, because as soon as in our conditioned mind, as soon as we say, this is what I want, I'm not going to stop, something happens that completely throws us off balance, and then we give up, and then we wallow, and oh wow. Actually, the quote on the book today was, poor me, there's nothing so sweet as wallowing in it is, wait, yeah. Sorry, it was backwards. There's nothing so sweet as wallowing in it, is there? Wallowing is sex for depressives. Very in line. See? Right from the divine. Okay, so, yeah. So letting go of that certainty of life, of if you follow this certain blueprint or this certain path that has succeeded for 90% statistic shit, you know, that's all driven from fear. That's all based off of illusions, because that phrase, everybody has their own opinion, is based off their own opinion of their fear. You know, it doesn't come from a place of love. Because if it's coming from a place of love, then you understand it and accept it. Because for me, going ahead, you have to really, like, one thing that I had to understand going into this is I couldn't judge myself for it. I for the longest time, I've been judging myself because, you know, I felt so terrified of being open with the people around me, because 90% of the people in my life do not resonate with this. So it's been very difficult. It's been a very lonely experience. But the fact is as a spiritually awakened person, which is another trait that Christina Lopes said, is, you know, as a spiritual person, you realize that you are never lonely because God is always with you. You know, your higher self is always with you. And as long as you have yourself, then you're okay. You know, you don't need to have that need to rely on somebody to survive, because you can do that yourself. You're learning, you're evolving at all times. You know, you're always learning new things and open to new ideas and new techniques and things that can be different. And you're just always in, like I said, you're always in a state of wonder and a constant state of, I want to explore, I want to do this, and just dreaming big at all times, because you trust so much in the universe. You trust with your whole heart that things will work out, that you don't have to spend time wallowing about it. You don't have to spend time, you know, driving yourself crazy for no reason. Because at the end of the day, God's always got our back, regardless, you know, he's always there, regardless of whether we're in a religion or not. You know, for me, I've never felt more connected to Jehovah, because another characteristic about the empath or spiritual person is that they are constantly questioning, because they see things so differently. They see things in such a bigger, there's an answer for everything. You know, there is an answer for everything. You know, because when it's a matter of God, when it's a matter of the divine or the heavenly realm or whatever you want to call the 5D, at the end of the day, he's always there, because he's the one that keeps things going. He's the one that keeps the cycles going, even if your life is in disarray. Because he's guiding you. He's giving you it. But he's giving you a choice on how you perceive it. He's giving you a choice on whether you see it from the eyes of love or from fear, from ego, from shadow. So the spiritual person is always going to see things more from the light of openness, realizing that the world is open and that no opinion is invalid. You know, unless it comes to the lines of common sense. But even then, everybody has their own idea of common sense, I guess. But definitely, yeah, the curious part was the second aspect. You know, it is true that we really do have this childlike aura and kind of like this, this aura of never taking things so seriously because of the fact that we know that we trust in love, in the divine, in God, in Jehovah, and or whoever, whatever it is that you believe. If you're atheist and you're spiritual, then the universe, then whatever it is that you believe in, where the energy comes from. Another thing that is the biggest one that I've learned up until this point, the biggest lesson that I've learned is that a spiritual person truly surrenders no matter what. Meaning, no matter what a person may feel inside in the mind sense, surrendering no matter what, because you're trusting with such a passion, such a wholehearted passion in what you're doing and in the choices that you're making. Because listen, if God is telling you to do something, you do it. Because if you're going to tell God no and try and act as if you're an egotistical higher superior, so a false sense of divinity, you're not going to get what you're expecting, because you're continuously fighting back. And it's like when a parent tells you to do something and you continuously continue, as children and teenagers do, you continue, obviously that parent is going to not give you what you want, because it's not what you deserve. It's all about embodying that love to be able to get what you deserve, because of the fact that you're giving it all up, you're surrendering it all. There could be situations where you lose the love of your life, but when it comes to spirituality, when it comes to your future and your abundance that you deserve, because nobody's saying that you don't deserve it, it's just a really great feeling. It's a very incredible feeling to be able to have that amount of power within yourself. Because once you reach that level, nothing can touch you. Because at that point, it's just you and God. And then you're good, you're set. That's it. Then from there, the only thing God is asking of us is to spread the light. He doesn't give it just to give it, saying like, oh, you went through that, now here's this. No, it's a responsibility. It's a responsibility in the sense that you have it for a purpose. He gave it to you for a purpose, because it's something that is needed to help bring light to the world. As I said in my first video, this world needs love. This world doesn't need clashing. This world just needs to give one big group hug. That's it. And, it's up to you to decide what it is that you want to embody. And it's your choice. And, it isn't easy, but like I said, nothing in life comes easy. And it's always so about looking at it in the right perspective. Looking at it from love, whatever comes up is an opportunity for you to learn. So if you're looking at it from the sense of, what is this showing me about myself that I'm ignoring? What is this showing me about the direction that I'm heading? And then that's the opportunity. God's not going to tell you this is what you have to do. He goes around to see if you can kind of move past the ego, to realize that okay, life is this is life here, this is life, and this here is crystals, divine, protected, beautiful, energetic beings. However, we're going to use it for the example of a life track. So the divine will kind of get you to go around the direction of your ego. But then sometimes it gets a little tight, and you really, really just have to stay on track. And what they're trying to tell you is that it's not about a thing of pressure. It's not a matter of pressure to do it. It's just a matter of trusting that you're not going to fall because you're trusting. You know, you're not going to fall because you believe in something. And when you believe, you receive. And that's it. You have to take the action. You have to believe in what you're going to do. You receive the gift to do it, and then you take action. And then that's how the world turns. That's how changes come. When you change the vibration that is out in the world right now, which is, by the way, a very negative, very low vibrational energy that is super suffocating, super toxic, super depressing. And it's almost like, for me, it got to the point, it was like, if I have an option to get out of this, I'm going to take it. Because, you know, it brought me to the point in my journey where I looked back on my life, and I looked at my actions, and I looked at the things that have happened to me and the things that I've done. And I realized that ignoring yourself doesn't do any good. So I stopped. And now I'm, you know, it's all about continuing down the straight path. It's obviously knowing that life does get tough and that things still happen, but knock me down 9 times, I get up 10. Like, it is what it is, you know? So next, let's see. Number 4. Yeah. It's very important to get something, for a spiritual person, to get something direct. Something that speaks directly to them. You know, something that isn't a written message, a general message. Excuse me. Not a general message, but something that is directly for them, directly to them, so that it's perfectly tailored for them to understand. Because nothing else absorbs, nothing else lasts, because that's not what's meant to last. That's not our purpose for why we're here. That's why when you go down this path, nothing seems to work, because the divine is guiding you to where you're supposed to be, which is doing the divine work of spreading light and love and positivity, nothing more. Yeah, courageous. Yeah, courageous is huge. Being headstrong through whatever is a really, 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 really huge trait of a spiritually awakened person. Because, you know, the minority, being like a, you know, what the world perceives as a scary minority, there's a lot of adversities that we're tailored to go through, that we are strong enough by birthright to handle, because God paints the image of every person and what their purpose was. You know, they come down and they go through their life cycle and become who either who they were destined to be, or who they don't want to be because they don't take the actions to be that. Yeah, self-aware, extremely. You know, being truly aware of your energy, what energy you're receiving, what's in your heart, you know, what lies, what capabilities, and what dreams, and what goals, and what light and love lies in your heart. Being aware of that, and not being afraid of it, because fear is the number one blocker. Fear is the number one blocker of your abundance and your abilities. You know, everybody is able to possess these abilities. However, he only gives them to you if you're open to them. which is why it's so generalized, because if one person is not open, they're going to perceive it in a way that is out of fear because they don't understand it. It comes from a sense of ego, in the sense that it's like a shadow that they have, that is something that they don't touch, what they don't understand, and it's safe to hide from anything that cannot be understood, or that is written. But yeah, resilience ties in with that, with courage and self-awareness. Courage, because it's not easy going through it, on top of all of the different receivals and depletions of all old negative energies and renewal of new ones, and the physical aspect of that, on top of actual problems here on the 3D plane that still exist, and issues with people. You all of a sudden you've got issues with people who are unawakened, and they're having a hard time understanding you. So all of a sudden the people that were once familiar to you are strangers almost, because it's like you have to completely reintroduce yourself to them. And then on top of that, it's the fear of whether they're going to think you're a crazy person. And so it really is something that involves extreme resilience, because we're faced with it every single day. But it really, really delves down to that trust in God, and trusting that everything is written, everything happens. And it's like you got options in life, and you choose what way you go. You either go in the way that you specifically want to go, like in your like a 3D sense, or you follow what your heart says, what your soul says, what you say to yourself. You choose to fulfill your birthright or not. And, it's a choice. It's written in the Bible. It's written in the Bible right here. It's written in the Bible. God gives us a choice. And it's not for us to judge that person for their choice, because that judgment comes from fear of not understanding why a person would choose that, based off of writings that come from the mouth of a man. They're coming from God, from him, but he's perceiving the message in the way that God gave the message to him. So that's not going to resonate for every single person, because how can you possibly reach an entire group of people if we're all unique individuals that came down, that God created individually for your unique purpose and destiny? It's a choice, which is why, I've said in the first video, it's all about respecting within that resilience, the people around you, respecting the earth, respecting the law, respecting God, respecting yourself. At the end of the day, that's all it's about. So, yeah, self-loving, it's the core. It really, really resides on self-love. It truly resides on self-love. When you love yourself, that opens up a world of brand new possibilities. It opens up a brand new world of possibilities. And, sometimes as imperfect humans, we reach for these expectations, and we reach for answers every which way. But sometimes God wants us to know that we need to settle. We need to stop. Look at yourself. Really analyze yourself. What is it that can be adjusted? The situation, a person, another person, or yourself? Really look inside and look from a place of love, not from fear. Look from love, because honestly, you're going to see a much brighter world. This world is still very dark, yes. But if you look close enough, there's light there. You just have to open your heart. It's not your eyes. Forget your eyes. Your heart, your soul to it. Yeah. And with this comes a really high sense of empowerment in who you are. Empowerment in embodying your true self with, I was speaking in Spanish there. Oh man. Sorry. I was going to say con valor, and I was trying to think of the word in English. Oh, sorry. Yes. So, crossing, really going forward with strength and power and confidence in yourself, because you're one with yourself. Yeah. You're no longer afraid of who you are or who you could be. You're not afraid of all the things that you did that hurt the people in your life, because you've made do with that. And you've put out apologies. And sometimes, you have to give it out, but not expect it back, because some people are in a different path, and that's okay. That is okay. There is no hatred towards anybody that is on their path. And I think that's why, for me, I separated from most of everybody that was in my life previously, and really got down to the grit to figure out what was going on in here. Because there was a lot of clearing that needed to be done. And it's really brought me to a better version of myself, a more loving, more patient, more kind and understanding person, a person that understands on a level so deeply that somebody can hurt you, but you get it. You can't be mad, because you understand. You see it, you feel it. You feel where they're at, and you sympathize, and you have compassion for that person, because you realize that everybody is at their own pace, and that it's it's an individual race. There's a quote here that Christina said, "Life is a race that you are constantly training for." When you realize that race is with yourself, then everything opens up from there. Because then you realize that you can go with emotions with confidence, because you realize that bad things can never ever last too long unless you let them. Bad times are like clouds that move with the excuse me, sorry. That move with the move with the wind, and move with the direction of wherever the wind is going. Life is the same thing. You just have to move with all the different changes and energies and vibrations and changes within other people's that cause moments in your life that affect you on that level indirectly. But once you've reached that level of confidence in your true self, those things don't affect you in that way, which is why we are light workers, because we are meant to dig deep down into the nitty-gritty of whatever's inside somebody and help cleanse that person and give them, whether that's giving them an answer, whether that's giving them an actual like Reiki healing therapy, whether it's doing light language. There's so many different, and it doesn't even have to be spiritual. It could even be you can be a light worker and be a teacher. You can be a light worker and be a psychiatrist or a psychologist, or someone who works in that field, that specializes in the field of taking care of people, of guiding people, of taking on leadership of the people, you know. So those are some 9 qualities that I've got of a of a spiritual person. Now, guys, I do want to say that it's something that I'm very happy that I've embraced. I can't describe my gratitude. I can't describe my gratitude to God at this moment right now, because, you know, if I was who I was last year and I was going through this right now, if I was in that same place and I didn't evolve and I didn't let myself evolve, I don't know what would be happening to me right now. I'm just counting my blessings that now I have my ticket to the next chapter of my life. And I'm painting it in a picture with confidence that it is going to be the best chapter of my life. And because of that, with my resilience and with your resilience, if you choose this path, you can guarantee that God will bless you, because you get what you give. You know, you really, truly do get what you give, guys. Okay, that's the end. I wish you all a blessed night. Peace and blessings. Buena vibra, buena vida siempre. Beso. Ciao.